The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah!
Go Cowboys!
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Ambar Garcia, Bryan Broaddus, Nick Harris, and Derek Eagleton.
It is Thursday, October 31st, 2024, Season 20, Episode number 59. Welcome to the latest edition of The Break Live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios, presented by LG. LG is the world's #1 OLED TV brand for 11 years and counting. See why at LG.com/OLED Evo. Happy Halloween.
There's a lot of not give a you-know-what going on here right now.
Is that your audio over there?
It is. It's your audio on your computer.
I think that's what you're saying. It's
That's
not
what
your computer's on. It's the audio.
Oh, my bad.
Because I'm like, I hear something.
My
I hear
bad.
something.
That's what I was trying to point out.
And Nick just waved you off like, we're good.
I thought you were saying, like, hey, your computer's on. They can see your screen. And
No,
they can see what I'm looking at.
I heard
My
it was
bad.
like highlights from the Holy Cross Rutgers game was going on there.
I think it was Oregon Boise State, actually.
Okay, there we go.
That's what I was watching last night.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. Appreciate you guys joining us. We've got a few things we're going to hit today. We're going to talk about the Atlanta defense versus the Cowboys offense. Some very interesting things there. Some opportunities for the Cowboys there. We'll talk about all that here in the next couple segments. We'll also get some calls and some text messages some X messages from you guys. You can hit us up. You can send us an email, or you can send us a message or question on X, or you can call us at 888-855-2297. We'll try to get to a few of those calls as well. Let's start first with injury updates.
How about we start first with giving Chris a shout out? Look at this set that he made.
Hey, man.
No.
What?
Finish
chewing.
I'm almost done eating the candy. Give Chris a shout out.
Yeah.
Look at all the work he did.
That's
This
beautiful.
set looks amazing.
Nice job, Chris.
Fully
Nice job, Chris.
decorated with Halloween. 10 out of 10, Chris. On the decorating. Everywhere
forward
you
to
look,
Thanksgiving.
there's Halloween.
Looking forward to Thanksgiving.
Well, hopefully they'll have
Stuffing
food in
and
here.
food
Yeah, let's put the food in here for Thanksgiving. That'll be a
You
a
decorate
win.
for Thanksgiving, buddy.
Well, good job,
as a
Chris.
pilgrim.
Good job, Chris. Looks really nice, and I'm sure fans are appreciating it out there because they get to see it for every show. Are you changing the colors for any of these shows, or is it going to stay just?
We're going to
just like
stay
this?
orange the whole
Stay
day.
orange
Is
the
that
whole
good
day.
with you?
Yeah, it's fine with me.
That's good. You know,
It
Halloween.
works. Yeah, it works. All right, let's jump in. Let's talk about injuries.
Talking Browns.
Broncos.
Yeah. Bears.
Trayvon Diggs, he ends up on the injury report yesterday. What are we hearing about that? Because obviously that's a position that, as we mentioned yesterday, Cowboys seem to be especially hit hard there.
Yeah, he said he's feeling good. It's a calf injury that he suffered in the game against the 49ers. He said he had just a little bit of tightness here early in the week, but he's not worried about his availability going deeper into the week, but we'll see today.
Good. Deron Bland did not practice, but one note at the cornerback position, Kalen Carson was a full participant. What are we hearing there?
Yeah, he was a full participant last week too, wasn't he?
Stop. You got to kill everything, Nick.
I'm just trying to be real.
They had to get a running back on that. They had to get a running back on that.
Because I don't want to get the tweets.
I got excited. Like,
I don't want to get the tweets on
Calen's
Sunday.
back.
I don't want to get the tweets on Sunday being like, he was a full participant all week. Why is he inactive today? Well, I'm just letting you guys know right now.
Because they tried to get a running back on.
Fair. I think with Kalen moving into the week, I think there's a good chance he plays, especially with Amani Oruwariye landing on the IR.
Yeah.
But Deron Bland officially activated to the active roster yesterday. That does not necessarily mean he will play Sunday. He needs to practice this week. So Mike McCarthy did say he hopes to get him on the field today in a limited capacity. We'll have a little bit more from McCarthy later, as I think his press conference starts in about 4 minutes.
If you guys had to handicap it based on what things you've heard and seen, what do you think is his chances of playing this week?
He started yesterday with the working group.
Yeah. Talking about Bland.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing was, when you ask him about injuries, you start to ask questions about injuries. They go, which one?
They got a lot of them.
I mean, you can't even which one are you talking about? But it's going to be today. We'll see if Bland does, in fact, practice. And we'll see if, in fact, though, that Micah Parsons practices. And I would say if neither one of those guys practice today, I would say it's a pretty good shot they're not going to play this week.
Yeah,
I think there's a little bit more optimism on Bland, but still
a little bit more, but not. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of it's really touch and go with there right now.
Yeah.
So yeah,
man, it's tough because I think at the cornerback position you got so many guys out, so it's a volume thing. With the pass rush, it really is just Micah. You need Micah back. You need to be able to get some pass rush, and obviously they missed Tank. Don't get me wrong, but it's like if you feel like if you can get Micah back at least, you could just at least have one guy that is a real, true pass rusher, and then you can kind of work with that a little bit. You guys get that sense as well?
Yeah, I think so, especially in a game like this where they need pass rush. Yeah, getting Micah back would be huge. That's just in general across the season. I mean, look at these last 3 games that they haven't had him. They need him back for sure.
it kind of gives you a little bit of idea for all the talk about trading him, what your team would look like without him.
Facts.
Kind of give you a little bit of an idea there. But I just this. I know we talked about it a little bit yesterday, but I would seriously consider playing Overshone as an edge player. Mm-hmm. I would. You got a quarterback that plays stationary football, stands in the middle of the pocket. If you beat one of these tackles, just Overshone has the length, has the ability, kind of knows where the quarterback's going to be. I would consider maybe playing him. I'm not saying every down, but kind of a poor man's Micah Parsons player. Just use him in certain situations. Put him on the edge and let him rush. Let him create some problems. That length, that quickness, the ability to finish in the pocket, that what we saw the other day. There's some things that you can do defensively in this game. Will they work? Probably better than what you've been doing. Probably just, gives yourself a chance that maybe you do get this guy home once or twice. I mean, we're going to get into Atlanta. They got nobody that gets home on their defense, and that affects how they play defense. So, Dallas, if they could find a way to create some pressure, maybe it is a guy like Overshone as that kind of that edge rusher at certain down and distances.
Yeah.
How many more weeks do you guys feel there are the crucial weeks for, like, how do I put it? Like, kind of to determine how the season's going to end for the Cowboys? Because I know a lot of people or a lot of fans are saying, like, okay, this is it. Like,
get ready for the draft show, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So, but realistically, obviously, there's half of the season you still have half of the season.
This is a difficult stretch. You got to get this thing to my opinion, this is the rough part of it right now for me when you're dealing with, we all felt like the Commanders were going to be better, but they're 6-2 better right now. And you got Houston, who's playing much better. Philadelphia looks like they found something last week offensively. They're getting their running game going. These are all you could look up and be on a bad one where you've lost 4 or 5 games in a row with the opponents that you have. You lose today or you lose this weekend. I think it's only going to get tougher.
You pretty much know where you're at by Thanksgiving.
That's
more often than not.
And in my opinion, I think to that point, I think after that Thanksgiving Day it's done. If they're not at 500, I think it's hard to imagine there's a scenario under which they could get back in. Because here's the thing: as tough as this next stretch is, the latter part of the season, December, feels like there are some teams that are beatable there. Right? They're good teams, but beatable. Cincinnati's a team that's good, but they've had their struggles. Tampa's having their struggles. Yeah, I think you got more of a chance to run off a string of games in December than maybe you do over these next 5. But I do think you got to basically hold tight and then hope that you're at 500 by the time you finish Thanksgiving, and hopefully you got Micah back. Hopefully you don't sustain any other major injuries. Maybe you start talking about Tank and when he can be back. Yeah. I think if you get to that point and you're even, that's when maybe you can make and you also need some of those things. Like, you're going to play Washington. You're going to play, obviously, in New York again. You're going to play Philly twice. I think those are the games. If you can make those some of the games you win, and you're at 500 by Thanksgiving, I think you got a shot to get yourself back into the mix for a playoff spot. Maybe not to win the division, but to get yourself back into a playoff spot.
So from now and Thanksgiving, how many losses could you technically afford?
I'm saying you go 3-2 over these next 5 games. That's what you need, in my opinion. That'll get you to 6-6. Am I doing my math right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
With 5 games to go.
Yeah,
it's doable.
But to me, you don't have any room for error if that happens. You're at 6-6. That means you got to reel off 5 wins. Like, you got to go through December and you got to be winning every week, and that gives you a chance to maybe get into the playoffs, I think.
And I don't want to talk about another sport, but I do cover, with 105.3 The Fan, we cover the Rangers, the Texas Rangers baseball, and they suffered a lot of injuries. And every week we've talked to the general manager, Chris Young. He's like, well, we're getting guys back. We're going to get guys back. We're going to get back. And then it was too late.
Yeah,
it was already done.
Guys back,
By the time you'd gotten everybody back, it was too late. You were already out. And that's your hope that, man, we're going to get these guys back. We're going to get these guys back. That's kind of your rallying cry.
Yeah, but you got to tread water.
You got to tread water till you get there. And then if you don't, you lose, say you lose 3 or 4 straight games, then getting those guys back is not going to matter.
Yep.
Just not.
I think the 2 guys you could look at that might not, quote unquote, be back by the time things are kind of decided.
Tank, one of them.
Tank and Marshawn Nealon.
Yeah.
Looking at those guys.
What is the timeline on Tank? Because I thought it was like early December. Is it later than that in your opinion? Or what you heard?
I'm thinking right around Thanksgiving, maybe after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably right
around. So he would be there for that last stretch, maybe.
Yeah, he would be. But let's say that they get to that stretch and they're 5-8 or
Facts.
whatever it is. Yeah.
But that's my point. Like right now, you have to tread water. You have to maintain the status quo as far as you can win, you can lose, but you got to kind of stay right there around 500 to give yourself even a shot to reel off some in December when you're at hopefully full strength.
You can't fall 2 games below 500 at any point, I don't think.
Yeah, I don't think
that's
so.
why this game's crucial. A game against Houston would be crucial. I mean, you can't fall 2 games behind because then you're asking your offense or you're asking a defense that doesn't have a lot of guys healthy to go win 3 straight in December.
Yeah.
It's a tough thing to do.
I mean, you look at some of these teams you're going to face. Houston now is without its top 2 wide receivers after losing Diggs.
Yeah.
So you got some teams that are having some issues like you do. So you just got to take advantage of it.
It's so funny.
The 49ers.
No, absolutely, but that's my point. You got to take advantage of it. It's nice to say, but you got to take advantage of it.
Every time you look at a team you're about to play, it's like, man, they're really bad doing this, and then you look at it as a matchup for you, maybe,
Right.
and then you're like, oh, damn, we're worse.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem. There's some things that the Atlanta Falcons do defensively that most teams that would play them that are really humming along on offense would punish them.
Yeah.
With your situation, you don't know if you can punish them for the things that they do poorly.
Yeah.
San Francisco was the same thing last week too. You did get in the red zone and have some success last week, but you didn't do anything else enough to take advantage of that.
Yeah.
We're going to, real quick, I also want to mention 2 other vets that popped up on the injury report yesterday. Linval Joseph with a back injury did not practice. Zach Martin with a shoulder injury did not practice. Are we hearing anything about that? Well, there's more about the fact that you're just giving them a little rest, or are they significant injuries?
I've just kind of always, with Zach Martin, always feel like that it's the rest day stuff. They're finding ways to, but that's not good. Offensive linemen with shoulder problems, it's never, lack of power. And we've seen some snaps, some reps where Zach is, he hasn't had the best of power that, we've seen from him in the past.
Yeah.
Felt very similar with Linval Joseph yesterday, too. He was going through stretching and everything during the media portion of practice. He just didn't have his helmet on. So I think it was more so a rest situation.
And it does concern me, as Brian was saying, offensive line with shoulder.
Yeah.
Defensive tackle with back.
Yeah.
That certainly doesn't make me feel good because on any given play, you can have 600 pounds leaning on you.
Yeah.
So it certainly won't feel good for his back, but we'll see how that progresses throughout the week. Let's take our first break. We'll come back. Let's jump into this Atlanta defense and talk about some of the areas where maybe the Cowboys can take advantage. We'll be back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
It's the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black. And right now, Cowboys fans can get 15% off their $75 order. Plus, because every deal needs a playmaker, your order will include a free 5-piece skincare set and free shipping. The Jack Black Playmaker is 4 of Jack's favorites and a full-sized intense therapy lip balm. Make a play for the playmaker at getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code /CowboysVIP. That's getjackblack.com/Cowboys with the code CowboysVIP.
Don't put off getting your oil changed, Dallas. Take 5 Oil Change, a proud partner of the Cowboys, is faster than you think. They're so fast, you don't even have to get out of your car. You can take advantage of Take 5's stay-in-your-car 10-minute oil change at any of their locations across the Dallas area. And remember, at Take 5, you stay in your car because they're faster than you think. That means you won't even have time to show off your best touchdown celebration. Take 5, the official oil change of the Dallas Cowboys.
From the field to the festivities, Lucchese embodies the essence of luxury and tradition. Handcrafted with meticulous precision, each pair offers unmatched comfort and style. Stand tall while you're tailgating or cheering in the stands with the Dallas Cowboys collection by Lucchese. Shop the collection today at the Lucchese store at the Star in Frisco or online at lucchese.com. Lucchese, the official boot of the Dallas Cowboys and Dallas Cowboys cheerleaders.
Hey y'all, Matt Pittman of Meat Church here. With football season kicking off, I'm already gearing up to bring the smoker back to AT&T Stadium for some epic tailgates. But with that Texas heat, it's crucial to keep my beer hand cramping cold. That's where Yeti's insulated Colster can cooler comes in clutch. This year, you can even get them with the iconic star engraved on the side. Licensed Yeti Cowboys gear is now available at Stadium Pro Shops, concessions, and on Yeti.com. Check it out today. Yeti, official cooler and drinkware of the Dallas Cowboys.
Back to the break.
LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game, but don't take our word for it. Digital Trends said the LG OLED G4 has the best picture quality they've ever seen.
Facts.
See it for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
Welcome back. Second segment of the break live from the SWBC Mortgage Studios.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. At the Star.
It's like Shannon Gross for a minute.
I know. That's why I do it, is because it's actually an ode to Shannon. This segment brought to you by blockchain.com.
Ding.
All right, good. Ding. We're all off the rails here. All right, so let's talk about this Atlanta defense. The first thing that pops out about them as you start looking is they are dead last in sacks in the NFL. They only have 6 on the season. Their highest total for an individual.
I'm all tangled over here. I don't know if y'all see me battling.
Spider
how can we not? You're like,
spider web everywhere.
I was trying to be nonchalant about it, but it's not really working. It's
you know he has the 4-box up, so everybody's just looking dead at you.
This is great.
Yeah. Sorry. So they have their highest total for any individual player is 1.5 sacks. Like they don't get a lot of production out of their pass rush. My question for you is, if there is one player that has a certain level of skill that this would be the week they could get going and actually create some pressure, knowing that Dallas has had its issues being able to protect, who would that player be?
It's got to be Matthew Judon, doesn't it?
It would be Judon. I also kind of look at Grady Jarrett as well.
Grady Jarrett, inside, yeah.
Judon just doesn't feel comfortable there.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like he's lost a step.
Yeah, Matthew Judon, they traded for him from New England.
Patriots, yep.
Yeah, and Dallas has faced him before. If you remember, there was a game, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe last year. New England came here.
Last year
in Dallas. Yeah, that's right. And so Dallas did a nice job of handling him. I think he got hurt in that game, matter of fact.
Out for the season.
Yeah, so that would be the one guy. The thing with Matthew Judon, though, if you watch him, and I went back and watched because I was curious, like, what's going on with this? Why is there the struggle? You talk about how comfortable or lack of. He's getting double teamed more than any time he has in his career. Because I went back and looked. I'm like, what's the deal? Atlanta, as you mentioned, doesn't have great pass rushers. He's their best option. So teams have said, okay, let's take their best option out of the game. And so he's faced more double teams this year. Like I think the metric said it was like 10%, which is the most he's faced since 2018. So how about that delivery right there? Bones Fossil came in and dropped off some candy.
I was expecting Katie to bring it in, but
I don't
Chris
even know
brought
who that
it
was.
in. I think that was Chris.
Was that Chris?
Ooh,
I think.
so these are okay? Everything on here is okay.
Everything
in
is,
here.
I assume everything is approved. I think.
Is that a Wrigley Cup?
All that's no, it's all approved.
It's all
approved.
All approved. So go for it.
Okay, here we go.
So the
all
Skittles
all
were good.
Mars.
Mars Company. We love the Mars
Mars.
Company.
I love
Everything
Twix.
is Mars.
But go ahead, Brian.
I love
So-
Twix as well.
Yeah, so
I'll enjoy
you go.
your
Thank you.
report
so the
and eat what I enjoy your report.
okay.
Turn her mic down.
But so what's happening is more double teams his
Yeah.
direction because they don't have somebody opposite. This might be the first time that Tyler Guyton gets to play against a guy that he's equal to or maybe a little bit better than.
Yeah.
It's only taken till week 9, but maybe we got a guy here that will be good for him to be able to handle.
And that's actually one of the questions I have for you guys. Like looking at this and how poor they are when it comes to the pass rush. Really, what I think, and I've made it known. I mean, it's been very clear that I feel like the biggest problem the Cowboys offense has is their offensive line, their ability to consistently protect Dak. Is this a week where maybe the offense now can really get going because, as you just said, like there are actual guys on the other side that they can actually block. That will give Dak time. Now Dak can maybe do all the things that this offense wants him to do.
Yeah, this is an opportunity. I'm covering my mouth because I don't have water to wash down this chocolate that I just ate. I think this is an opportunity for Dak to be able to really get this passing game going. And I've said it before, but I'm standing on it this week. I think this is going to be a shootout because I think this passing offense is going to get going. There might be some opportunities in the run game that we'll dive into here in a bit. But in the pass game specifically, I think they can get multiple weapons involved. I'm looking at Jake Ferguson after the week that Cade Otton had last week. I'm looking at Jalen Tolbert just because I think he could be able to get open on some opportunities. CD in the slot specifically, I don't necessarily like him on the outside in this game.
No.
Against a guy like AJ Terrell who's got a little bit more physicality. I want him to be able to isolate his speed and get out in the open field.
Yeah, he needs to attack D. Alford in this game. D. Alford is their nickel.
Yep.
And if you watch the Kansas City game, 10 targets, 10 receptions. In Kansas City's got Rice and this before he got hurt, but they have guys that can run and they have guys that play well in the slot. And D. Alford all year long, teams have gone after him a little bit. Now, we'll say this about when you look at Terrell and Lamb have played against each other twice, and you're thinking, oh man, he carried him all. Nah, I think there was only like 5 times where, because usually Terrell in the old regime, the old coaching staff, the Smith regime, they kept him on the left side, and the Cowboys took Lamb and put him away from Terrell and went the other way. So CD has had some success against the Falcons in 2 games, but it hasn't gone against Terrell. He was always playing left side. But, well, now, excuse me there, Pumpkin Man. But see, now that, that's
Pumpkin Man.
Pumpkin's always getting in your way. But the thing with Terrell now is he plays both sides.
Yeah.
So you're going to see him.
So they traveling?
Well, yeah, he plays left and right corner. I mean, almost 50-50 on how he plays.
Yeah, I guess the question I'm asking is, do they indiscriminately move him around in their scheme, or is it more about, I'm going to take this guy, and wherever he goes, I'm going with him?
They move him around.
Okay.
They move him around the scheme. Now, maybe the way to get away with this, like I said, maybe think about playing him more in the slot. Yeah. Because every time I watched these games, Alford was playing in the slot.
So Terrell doesn't move into the
He didn't
slot.
move in the slot.
Okay.
He wasn't moving the slot the games I watched. They went with Alford there. Now, it could be a situation, teams like, hey, our best chance, we're not going to get pass rush.
Yeah.
Our best chance is to just travel Terrell with and see what happens.
Best guy, yep.
Yeah. This team plays a ton of zone coverage, okay? But they also play a lot of off coverage. Did you see any of the
Yeah.
Okay. Take a guess who your best off coverage receiver is if you look at just the metric side of thing. If teams are going to play off your receiver, who's the Cowboy receiver that has the most success against off coverage?
I would have to assume CD.
No.
Jalen Tolbert?
Tolbert.
Yeah, I was actually going to mention
Tolbert's got 17 receptions, which leads the team in off coverage. So if they're going to play zone, which they play 80% of the time, you could watch them play and you're like going zone, zone, zone. And then you look at the metric side of things, 80%. They used to be very man heavy, like almost 50-50 man heavy last year under the old regime. Now they play far more zone. They got no pass rush and they're playing zone. This is dangerous. This is a very dangerous situation for them to have to deal with. But that's what they believe in. That's how they play it. They're not going to sit there and try and blitz you and all those things. They're going to try and see if they can hold up and not give up big plays.
From my notes here, it felt like the only time that they ran man on a consistent basis was in second and third and long situations.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. But, so, yeah, that's it. To me, the guy I go after, like I say, try and make sure you secure Judon, the edge, and then make sure then you try and get as many guys on Alford, number 20, the nickel. He's the guy that seems to have, when they run routes on him, the most separation. Even when he has to carry guys. You see breaking routes. He's kind of in your trail position right there.
Who is the best person? Let's assume for a second they're going to travel Terrell, and they're going to travel him everywhere. Let's say that they're going to run him into the slot as well. Who is the next best person that Dallas could run out and put in the slot in situations and still get the production if you're trying to get them matched up with that their nickel corner?
Do you feel confident in Tolbert in the slot? Because I don't.
I put Turpin in there and just go, because I think that Alford has had some problems with Kansas City. He had the problems with speed inside and quickness inside. I was watching that game. I'm like, gosh dang, he's giving up every time they throw at him. He's giving up. And I went back and looked at the numbers, 10 for 10. You're like going, okay, here we go. That's what we got to do here. So yeah, I'm kind of in that mode right now where I would definitely, I would think about putting Turpin inside on that in that situation.
Alford on the season has allowed 35 receptions on 45 targets for 284 yards.
Yeah.
So
3 touchdowns, I believe, too. I think I looked at that.
Yes.
Yeah, no picks, 3 touchdowns.
Not necessarily a lot of yards per attempt, but kind of granted, given the nature of his position, he shouldn't be giving up the big play, but he still gives a healthy amount of yards up per game.
Run defense. What do they look like? Is that an opportunity for the Cowboys, or where is the opportunity for the Cowboys?
There? Yeah. And how confident do you feel in this offensive line being able to pull consistently? To bring pullers around, run counters, things of that nature.
Depends on who's pulling.
It depends on who's pulling, but I saw things against Tampa Bay where Tampa Bay's offensive line, granted they had Tristan Wirfs at left tackle, so it's a little bit different, but they were pulling guys to the right side, and Bucky Irving, Rachaad White, those guys were able to find holes, and they weren't really having to make guys miss until 4 or 5 yards down the field. So I think if they can try to lean on these pullers a little bit early in the run game, I think there might be an opportunity there. The first 2 levels for the Falcons, they just could not find consistency in that game against the Buccaneers. It was tough for both of those levels.
I think there are 2 guys on the offensive line that I feel good about pulling: Tyler Smith and Beebe. Those are the 2 I feel comfortable pulling. I think Zach Martin, getting him out in space, it looks like there was a play last week where he was kind of running out. He couldn't get to the secondary guy coming up. It's just like it looks like he's laboring out there to try to get in position to make a block, and I just think that's not going to help you.
Something that I just looked up there just because of the question you brought up, or the point you brought up, Nick, because Dallas had their best success with Elliott running against that light box, which is 6 or less. Falcons are going to play light box, 6 or fewer defenders, 53% of the snaps. That's 8th most in the league right now. So if they're going to be committed, if they're going to say, okay, we're going to play 6 defenders and try and handle everything else on the back end, Dallas has had some success running against that. I mean, it's fleeting at times. It really, really is. But at least that's the one thing last week when you look at San Francisco, that the runs that, like of the positive runs, 4 yards or more, that of I think the 10 carries, half of them for Zeke were 4 yards or more.
Yep.
They were against light box. So maybe that might be an avenue for you there.
We're going to take our final break. When we come back, I want to dive a little deeper into that conversation, because I went back and watched the runs in that game last week, and I want to ask you guys a little bit about, number one, how you assess Dalvin Cook's play, but number 2, talk a little bit about what Zeke was able to do last week, because I don't know if that's getting enough attention. They didn't get a lot of opportunities, but the opportunities he got, I want to get your opinions on how well you think he performed. We'll talk about that when we come back. DallasCowboys.com radio.
If you can't be at the stadium, there's no better way to watch your Cowboys than on an LG OLED Evo TV. That's because everything you see is more lifelike. Every play, every hit. I mean, you might as well be on the sidelines. That's how clear it is. It's all thanks to LG's legendary technology. Perfect black, over 8.3 million self-lit pixels. No one comes close. LG OLED Evo is the best TV in the game for a reason. See for yourself at lg.com/OLED Evo.
They say champions are remembered, but legends are never forgotten. United Ag and Turf offers a winning lineup of John Deere equipment built to tackle any challenge on and off the field. Legendary John Deere tractors, combines, residential mowers, commercial mowers, compact construction equipment, Gator utility vehicles, and a full line of golf and sports turf equipment. United Ag and Turf, the official Ag and Turf equipment supplier of the Dallas Cowboys. Visit UnitedAgAndTurf.com to find a location near you.
If you shout, "How about them Cowboys?" you have that undeniable passion that's the heart of Cowboys Nation. And if you like to drink Dr. Pepper, you love the unique blend of its 23 flavors. Together, your one-of-a-kind fandom paired with the one-of-a-kind taste of a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper is the game day lineup that can't be beat. Better yet, gather your Cowboys and Dr. Pepper fan friends to watch the next game and crack open a delicious ice-cold Dr. Pepper for everyone. The wins will be even tastier. It's a pepper thing.
And we're going to overtime.
Erica, how much have I spent on concessions?
For questions about their money, Dallas Cowboys fans can turn to Erica, the virtual financial assistant in the Bank of America mobile banking app. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/Erica by your side. Bank of America, official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Erica responses may vary. Digital tools featured require downloading the mobile banking app and may only be available on select mobile devices. Erica is a mobile feature only available in the English language. Your chat may be recorded and monitored for quality assurance. Message and data rates and additional terms may apply. Bank of America, N.A., member FDIC.
Todd thought it would be secure to jog in the cheetah savanna. Todd believed the big cat repellent he bought online was reliable. And now, Todd is trying to be faster than this cheetah that can run 80 miles per hour. But the good news is, Todd has AT&T 5G that is fast, reliable, and secure. And he learned the best thing to do is stop running and toss her the backpack with the beef stew. AT&T 5G. Fast, reliable, secure.
5G requires compatible plan and device. 5G may not be available in your area. See att.com/5G for you for details.
Back to the break.
AT&T, connecting changes everything.
Amber's like the little kid who has some sugar and she's over here dancing and all happy and sugar's just going to her head.
Well, she doesn't have the excuse to leave early for food now.
She does not.
We do not have that excuse this week. We're going until 58.
She's been through about
Funny
10 of these
thing,
things now.
We're going until 58 in this show.
Funny thing, while Bryan was doing his breakdown, I was just thinking.
You were killing it.
I was thinking, should I eat the candy or just wait to have my lunch? Like, I was just thinking about food. And then also I was thinking, which I wanted to ask, what do you know the average for the time of possession that the Falcons offense tend to have?
I will say they've only won the time of possession battle twice all season.
Okay.
And they're 1-1 in those games. So factor that for what you will.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's talk about the running game for the Cowboys. I want to go a little farther into that conversation.
Spiders bothering you over there?
These spider webs are killing you guys. All right. First of all, give me an assessment on Dalvin Cook from last week. He only had 6 carries, but of those 6 carries, what did you see from him? Was there something you liked? Was there something that was like, I don't know? What was your assessment of his play last week?
It kind of reminded me of the opportunities that Deuce Vaughn has had this year, where it's just like, okay, he didn't really have a lot of protection, so, it is what it is. I loved the 10, 12-yard reception he had to his first touch.
Over the middle.
That was something I was like, okay, yeah, hey, bring that, and, we can get active with him. But as far as the run game, I don't think there was really any positives to take away, but I don't think there was necessarily any negatives to take away from Dalvin's perspective. I think it was just a product of that protection unit not having its best game in the run game.
Yeah, I think the running game, we start to talk about, try and point your finger at something. Is it the backs? Is it they're really struggling blocking people?
It's everybody.
Yeah, they're struggling blocking people, and they're, they finally, when they have gotten guys up on second level, it's been fine. When they don't, it's I don't know how you can have a running play and not block Fred Warner.
Yeah, right.
I just don't. I don't know. I mean, I'm thinking we're going to call a running play and we're not going to block Fred Warner on this play. What do you think the gain's going to be? I'm going to say it's probably going to be a 0 or negative play.
Yeah, no doubt.
And that's what happens to you. And they don't run all that much. And then when they don't block the best run defender, now you're questioning, like, well, why run it all if you're not going to block the best guy?
Yeah.
So I don't think it's probably something they didn't go into the game thinking they weren't going to block him. Something happens. They don't get up, So it's hard to evaluate where they're at. I like what Nick's talking about with some pull stuff, though. I'm liking that because I think that, like, you get Smith out there and pull in space. I think that's not a bad thing out there. You get some angle blocks. You get some guys coming down. We talk about, remember Arizona, we did the pin and pull stuff. You could a lot of teams are doing that. You can gash some people doing that pin and pull stuff. Get the ball to the edge. Dallas, not a great edge rushing team. Everything kind of comes downhill and then cuts. So maybe they don't have, unless you put somebody in the backfield like Turpin and go pin and pull, or put somebody in the back CD, somebody that's got a little bit more explosiveness, a little bit more quickness, then I would think that would be something that I would be a little bit more interested in.
Yeah.
I'm being very negative right now. Not even the candy. Not even the candy's helping my mindset, because everything is just like, okay, I like what you're saying about this matchup, and like it favors the Cowboys offense a lot more.
In some ways.
But at the same time, I'm thinking, okay, what if it's the other way around, to where maybe this is the time that they make their defense look good?
Yeah, Yeah, there's get well games.
They probably look at this game and they're like, our pass rush might be able to get going this week.
Right.
Like, that's
exactly.
There's a flip side to everything. Absolutely.
So it's hard to get away from that, because even and we've talked about it, everybody knows already on here, like the games that they've won, even then, the Cowboys offense has been struggling all throughout the season. Even in wins, they'll make a few series and that are really good, and then it just disappears. And then I feel like you see maybe 2 series in a game where they're really good, and you're like, okay, that's what you got to do, and then it just goes away. So it's just one of those things that it's hard to even see the matchup being favorable for the Cowboys this weekend.
Yeah. I think more often than not, this is something that I just feel like might not happen for the Cowboys, pulling guards. If we're talking about that pulling guys and gap scheme runs, they only ran 2 against the 49ers. Yeah. And if you're pulling guys 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a gap scheme type run. So it's like, if you want to isolate Dalvin Cook on the outside, which the coaches have talked about, they want to get him out on the outside into space. Why don't you pull some guys to help kind of pave that way and assign them to defenders rather than, just areas of the field? Because I feel like there's a little bit too much guessing going on at times in the run game from the protection perspective.
To be honest with you, they might not have confidence in their point of attack tight end blocks.
Yeah, that was actually a real. I was watching the runs in this last game, and one of the big things that kept popping up. Now, part of it was they were putting tight ends in situations where they were having to block Bosa one-on-one. Yeah. They ain't gonna win that. I'm just gonna say, you're not gonna win that. Yeah. But I do think that was and you talk about it all the time. This too, Brian. The wide receivers, they aren't great blockers either. No. And so when you start thinking about it from that standpoint, like there's so much to go around when it comes to missing blocks in the run game. It's really across the board. It really is.
The receivers have problems blocking because of the width of the offense. Mm-hmm. That's something
they can't get there.
Yeah, there's something. I'm watching these teams that run the ball well, and a lot of them do it out of condensed looks. Mm-hmm. They do it where they play. They're 20 yards across, and they're not 27 yards across, and trying to get a receiver to make a cutoff block.
Yep.
A lot of teams just play condensed. They're like, we're going to run the ball. We're gonna make sure our guys get in position, or we're going to bring an extra blocker over with motion. I watched, I'm watching the Tampa-Atlanta game. I'm watching Atlanta's defense. I'm watching Tampa bring a guy in motion. As they bring him in motion, they snap the ball, and he goes and blocks, and they throw a swing to the back. But they got a blocker in motion going up the field. It's not just throw the swing and hope they miss. No, they've dedicated a guy moving across the formation to be a kick-out block that once they catch the ball, then they just go up the field.
Yep.
So it's not like, okay, catch it and make a guy miss. Mm-hmm. No, we're going to block that guy, and you have to make the second guy miss.
Right.
That's things you got to think about.
And that's just so people understand when you're talking about condensed. And that kind of thing. One of the big things when you're out wide, you think about it. You gotta, let's say a cornerback is out, he's split 5 yards from the tackle or from the tight end,
right.
and in that situation, he's got a guy across from him. If that guy goes screaming down toward the
you're
runner,
never going to stop him.
You can't get to him.
Yeah.
You can't. Now, if you're in compress, which means you're
condensed,
tight, you're closer to that tackle or that end. Then what you're able to do is now you're just getting away. You don't have to be great blocker. You just can get in the way, kind of shield a little bit. It gives the running back an opportunity to get around you and be able to make the run. So that's what you're talking about there, and kind of how you make it easier for your wide receivers.
The best condensed teams in the league are San Francisco, the Rams, the Dolphins. You know, they all share that where everybody thinks it's great to spread everybody out until you have to block.
Yep.
And then and then if your guys aren't, Hines Ward come flying down there and blow people up kind of receivers, then you're going to have a lot of missed blocks.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so right now, based on what you saw this last week, and maybe you didn't see enough to change it, but how would you utilize your running backs going into this next game? If you had to say, I'm going to give this guy this number of carries, this guy this number of carries, this guy this number of carries, how would you split that up?
Oh man, I want to see what Dalvin has in a healthy opportunity. I mean, trade deadline is next Tuesday. If they are actually if they are thinking in the back of their mind to make a move, then they need to see what Dalvin has to offer for a full opportunity, not necessarily 6 carries for 12 yards. So I mean, give him 5 to 10 more touches. I would split it up evenly 3 ways: Rico, Zeke, Dalvin, 5 to 10 touches each. That's how I would do it.
Do you play one? Do you play them every series? Just alternate the series, and then whoever has the hot hand
stick with
in the second half, that's your guy.
I'm with that.
Like if it's Zeke, that's a good series for Zeke.
Yeah.
And everybody will bitch because they'll say, "Oh, why'd you take him out? He had the hot hand." You better figure out. Maybe you could come back to it. I would definitely give each one of them a series, and then whichever looks the best out of the 3 series to start the game. That's my guy the rest of the way.
And 25 for Hunter Lipke, of course.
Hey, by the way, Hunter, as much as I love his game, he's got to do better in the blocking game. That's another guy that had a couple plays there. Was like, come on, man,
you can only do so much.
Make the block.
You can only do so much. Okay.
But again, that goes back to, you can't really blame any one person. If you say I take this person and I'll change him out, the running game isn't going to get better.
Yep.
It is a holistic thing. You need better blocking from almost everybody up there, because everybody has their moments when it's just like that wasn't what you need in order to make this successful.
We need to go back and look at the numbers on it, but just off of vibes and feelings, it feels like they haven't lined up Hunter in fullback situations to go downhill.
No.
Dak under
Not a lot.
paved the way. They did that a lot for
They
Pollard
put him on the wing
year.
a lot, yeah.
Yeah, they did that a lot for Paulo last year, and Hunter, he got in there and he got dirty.
Got better. He was a half-man blocker, and by that second half of the season, he was taking people on full square.
And they're not doing it this year as much. Not doing it. Which, again, that ends up being the question why. So anyway.
Lack of confidence in the running game.
Man, I like what you guys are saying, but it's hard to think that they would actually do something like that. Like, it's hard to envision, like, letting one guy go first, do all of them, then take it out, put somebody else in. So it's, I don't know.
You could actually do what they do with what the Lions do. Lions switch their guys out like every play.
Yeah,
they'll run a guy and then they'll run another guy. I mean, just roll them. Just roll them and see what you get.
I don't know. It's just I see the pros and cons on both scenarios. I think they both bring different things. I think it could mess up the rhythm, but then at the same time, it's like, do you even have rhythm? So
that's what I'm saying.
It goes into that.
It's all con.
Yeah.
It's all con right now. There's no pro.
But you know what? I just wonder how... I'm curious to see, because Zeke did show those few plays last week where he showed some aggressiveness in his game that we have been used to seeing years ago, right?
Yep.
And then we haven't seen it yet. And then all of a sudden in that game, maybe it was the whole Dalvin Cook coming up. And then maybe he's like, let me mark my territory here. And then he showed that aggression in there, which is what you want to see and what you love about him, or what you're used to loving about him. So I wonder how he goes into this game, because it did started fading away last weekend as the game went on. He just had those power runs, but then that was it, really.
Well, I'll tell you this. One of the things I loved about what we saw.
That too.
Yeah, one of the things I saw from Zeke last week that I loved was it was really the yards after contact.
Right.
Because there were a number of runs where he got hit, 2 or 3 yards past the line of scrimmage, and he ended up getting another 3 or 4 yards. And that's what I like, because again, when you have an offensive line and tight ends and wide receivers and fullbacks that aren't really blocking great on any given play, anybody could have a bust. You need a running back that can still get yards after they've been contacted. And I think that's what I saw from him that really, I think, has was some of the better running we've seen all season in that game from him. He just didn't get enough opportunities.
It might be the fact that number 20 actually dressed for that game that got Zeke a little motivated.
Maybe.
This came from Mike McCarthy in yesterday's press conference. He was asked about Dalvin Cook, and I think he gave kind of an interesting answer about the entire running back situation. He said, I thought he did a nice job. Didn't get a lot of opportunities, but it's a challenge to get multiple guys reps. Running back by committee is definitely not the preference, but we feel it's the best way to utilize these guys. We didn't have enough trips to the plate just as a whole.
Yep. Did he say anything we didn't know? I mean,
I think it's interesting Mike McCarthy saying running back by committee is definitely not the preference.
Well, then,
has the by committee in any position ever worked for the Cowboys?
Made him trade a first-round pick for a wide receiver.
Exactly.
Well, running back by committee has worked in the past, long time ago.
I'll take Detroit Lions committee of running the ball.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you got the right running back.
That's fair.
I remember the Giants when they had Tiki Barber and what was the big guy's name? Brandon Jacobs. Like, that was a nice tandem. I mean, you can make running back by committee work if you got the right running back. We're going to face it this weekend when the Cowboys go to Atlanta.
Exactly. I mean, the thing about it is, though, to me, if you're going to play all three of the guys, use them, alternate them every play. Just see what you got. Find somebody, and then maybe it doesn't become committee anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe all of a sudden Mike marks a play on his play sheets like, well, that was a pretty good one. Okay, go back to that one when Zeke's in there. Go back to this one when Cook's in there. Go back with this one with Daddle. I'm all for throwing the ball to Dalvin Cook, by the way. Whatever we can do to throw the ball
Would you
to
do
him.
the same thing of switching them out on third downs? Or are you sticking to one specific running back?
This is where maybe the one time that I needed, and maybe this is because Dalvin Cook hasn't played a lot of plays for you. I wish he would have just been aware to pick up Bosa when Steele got beat inside. If he just turns and picks up Bosa, maybe Dak can get the ball down the field. If Zeke's in there, maybe it's a little bit more awareness of don't worry about checking inside as much. I need all the help on the outside. That's probably Dalvin just not playing a lot with Steele, because if I'm a running back, I'm kind of keeping an eye. If I'm over that side, I'm always looking at Steele. I'm thinking Steele's going to need my help here one way or another. Or if you're on the other side, it's like, okay, Guyton, I know Smith's going to block. I'm worried about Guyton over here, and you needed a hero block.
Yeah.
You needed one of those aware hero blocks where he all of a sudden he's looking inside, but oh no, he peels back and he takes Bosa. Now Dak launches it down the field. Yeah. And it's a touchdown. And you go back and then Chris Collinsworth goes, watch the block here by Dalvin Cook, and that got the ball out.
This guy.
Yeah, that's what you needed. But maybe a lot of time on task affected you that way.
And we know, but one thing we will say is we've seen Zeke make those kind of hero blocks.
Hero blocks,
right?
Yeah.
So I do think maybe the answer is Zeke, or I've actually been pretty happy with Lipke on third down too. I don't think he's been a liability for them. So I think I would probably go with one of those two guys and continue that on third down for the most part. All right, appreciate you guys joining us. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll wrap this thing up, get you guys ready for Sunday, Cowboys versus Falcons. We'll be back. Till then, for Nick Harris, Bryan Broaddus. I was about to say Nick Eatman. Nick Harris, Bryan Broaddus, Ambar Garcia. I'm Derek Eagleton. This has been The Break live on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!